Hey, how are ya? Good, I hope. Thanks for joining me today. Question for you. Do you have somebody in your life that has dealt with a lot of hard stuff, but always seems to be positive and optimistic and kind of centered in grace despite what happens in their life? And do you also have a friend or know somebody that has one tiny little thing that happens to them and then they completely go off the rails? And it's kind of interesting watching your two friends. Well, the weight of what we carry is often based on our perception. I'm Sage, I'm a growth coach, and that's our topic for today. It's not the load that weighs you down, it's the way you carry it. So why do people perceive things differently and in varying ways? Well, I would say the first probably comes from how you were raised or your childhood experience. Depends on how much stress and anxiety and trauma all lived back there. Can kind of, mold how you perceive things. Also, the second is the people that you surround yourself with. If you tend to be around a lot of very dramatic people, there's always going to be drama. You can always find drama, right? If the people you choose to surround yourself are relatively calm and centered and they're kind of like, oh, go with the flow, everything happens for a reason type people, then that's going to rub off on you. The third reason people perceive things different ways is the way we choose to perceive it. But why do we choose to perceive things the way we do? And can we actually change that? Here's a quote for you. Drama doesn't walk into your life. You either create it, invite it, or associate with it. I think that's a pretty good one. So questions to ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How dramatic is your reaction to tough things in life? Why do you think it's that way? Have you found a way to reset that number in certain situations? Maybe at work, you can keep your drama level down. But when you're around your family, whoa, it's all over the place, right? Maybe you've worked on it in certain areas and you've still got some work to do other places. So let's get to some tips here. I want to give you 4 ways to lessen your reaction and then lighten your load. Okay, so number 1 is you got to do some self-searching, right? Where do you think your reaction level came from? Did it come from how your parents act or what your household was like? Did it come from friend groups that you hung out with growing up? And does your current level bring you joy? Does it improve your life? You got to ask yourself a lot of these questions first to kind of get to the bottom or get to the root of some of these things before you can kind of start evaluating where you want to do some work, do some healing. Okay, remember we're talking about 4 ways to lessen your reaction and lighten your load. Here is number 2. You got to catch yourself. You got to start practicing. Did you hear what word I said there? You got to start practicing a way to catch yourself before you react. Or at least before you spew your reaction everywhere. I'm not asking you to shut off your emotions and not be a human being. I mean, that'd be ridiculous. But maybe you are going to react, and then are you going to call 72 people and scream in the phone about it? Or are you going to be able to catch yourself before that train wreck happens? So I don't think there's a magic bullet to catching yourself, but I think it's a practice. You have to go, yep, I'm really, I'm over the top right now, and I gotta take a minute. All right, the third way to lighten your load is to find a way to reframe. So maybe it's a phrase you tell yourself, or a breathing technique. Now, maybe you say, okay, everything happens for a reason. It's going to be all right. Or, what is this trying to teach me? Everything's going to be okay. And if you can calm yourself down by using a go-to phrase of yours, and then maybe you can approach the situation from a new standpoint. The fourth way to lessen your reaction and lighten your load is Plan B. Okay? Plan B was one of my favorites, and that is take a break. So let's say you're not doing such a great job at catching yourself. You haven't been able to reframe things, or this is just exploded your brain and you need to blow off some steam. Well, take a break, distance yourself, isolate yourself, go for a walk, get off of social media, put your phone away, okay? And breathe, right? Take as much time as you need to calm down, or troubleshoot, or make a plan, or think of all the possible scenarios. And don't feel guilty for wanting to take that time or that space for yourself. That's important to make sure that you don't act the way you don't want to act, or you don't say the things you don't want to say. You don't want to be taking things back. Why not just give yourself a break, use Plan B, give yourself a break, and then approach the situation. So remember, we're talking about today, it's not the load that weighs you down, it's the way you carry it. So what cues could you use for yourself to not only catch yourself, but reframe the situation? You've got this. Thanks for joining me. You can follow me at Growing Sage or Growing Sage Journey, and I appreciate you growing with me. Have a great day. Love ya.